There is a gigantic gap in this industry, and I just started the process to close it. With the possible exception of the Boys Club, that was the original group of early musical theater writers really haven't had their own space and community. I'm not saying that there aren't any out there, but the ones that do exist are, number one, temporary, like a class, number two, specific to geography, like LA, New York, or Chicago, or number three, are gate-capped by cost, class size, auditions, etc. Beyond all of this, the communities that are out there, whether intentionally or not, are all feeding into these atmospheres of competition, ego, and a zero-sum mentality. And this, my friends, is a shameful oversight. But not anymore. As of this September in the year 2022, there is now an online community space dedicated to musical theater writers and those who collaborate with us, open and available to all, the Musical Theater Writing Collective. The Musical Theater Writing Collective is an online space in which musical theater writers of all varieties can gather together and connect with one another, ask questions, find resources, get advice, learn more about the craft, take workshops and events, and even bring in their own work for feedback from the group. And the best part? This community is built on the ideals of a supportive, affirmative community in which anyone is welcome. Basically, the only gate being kept here is to leave your ego, competition, and zero-sum mentality at the door. They're helping no one. Equity, inclusion, and access are central components to this mission. Why? Because musical theater cannot possibly be fully representative of the world and the community at large if the writers of those experiences and walks of life are not being given the opportunities to learn and grow and develop their work and to get their work out there and produce. The system was built to suit one group of people, but we can change that, one community at a time. And other organizations with similar goals seem to agree with me. I'm speaking with other industry-leading and industry-changing organizations to create partnerships, to work together to create positive change across the industry. A rising tide, my friends. So, what's included in this community? The Central Hub is hosted through Circle, an online platform that is growing continually and consistently upgrading their functionality in super exciting ways. For instance, they are currently working on a live chat feature, and although they already have a great iOS app, the Android app is currently in the works. As of now, the Hub includes two space groups, the Connect Spaces and the Learn Spaces. I'll get to the difference in a moment. In the Connect group, you can start conversations with anyone on any relative topic, ask a question to the entirety of the community, make any relevant announcements like shows or readings or events in your area, and even find collaborators. And by collaborators, I mean more than just other writers to team up with. As I said before, this community is a positive connective space for writers and our collaborators, and that can mean performers, directors, designers, producers, musicians, basically anyone who is interested in being a part of new work development. Now, since collaborators don't need the full functionality and resources of the collective, they have the option for a less robust membership that includes the resources of the Connect group only and at a low price. Full writer membership includes the Learn group as well, but also at a very reasonable price. Now, before you scoff at the idea of a lower tier membership, I haven't even talked about the bread and butter of the collective yet, which is available to all memberships, and that is the labs. Collective labs currently take place every other week and are opportunities for community members to gather together in real time in one of three different ways. Number one, the writer's room, where people can gather together on mute and work silently as a way to stay focused and accountable. Number two, the chat room, where people can gather together to talk about, well, anything really. This space is starting out unmoderated and without set topics, but could develop further, who knows? And number three, the cornerstone of it all, the writing workshop. This is a room where writers can sign up to bring in anything that they're working on for feedback from the group. This could be a song, a scene, or even just an idea or a problem that they can bring in and spend the time getting feedback from the brain trust that is the collective group. Now, even if it's a longer work, they can sign up for 2 25-minute slots consecutively to make sure that there is enough time for both presentation and feedback. Now, feedback is done through a specific collective feedback process, which is built to center the writers and their goals in a constructive and affirmative way. We listen to their goals first, and then the presentation, before starting with affirmative feedback, then further questions, and then more constructive feedback. No egos, no competition, and no, if I were writing this piece. That's just not how we roll here. And all members have access to these labs. It's never required to be there, but it's always an option available to you. And I have to tell you, so far, they've been a lot of fun. Now, full writer members will also have access to the Learn group, which houses a resource library that is ever expanding, access to writing workshops and events as they come about, the ability to find a mentor or mentee in the field, and other offers such as short-term or long-term classes as they are being built and scheduled. And anyone who is in a class will also have their own space group, which will house everything they need for that class, like this one here for the Writing Collective course First Cohort. Additionally, writers will have the ability to add the shows they've written to a searchable directory, which will be very useful for now. Well, that is until some very exciting things down the pipeline come to fruition. Stay tuned for some partnership news. And there are other fun things that we've already begun as well. We have a continuous Wednesday wins post where people can share their recent big and small accomplishments for some affirmation, some cheer. We also have the first of our quarterly cabarets scheduled for mid-October. Now these cabarets are completely optional, but each one of them will be themed, and writers can either write something specifically for the cabaret or take something they've already written to put in the cabaret, and then we will all gather together and we will watch and we will listen and cheer for one another and have a great time experiencing new musical theater together. The first cabaret's theme is spooky. Ooh. But I see that you still have two burning questions. Number one, Michael, didn't the course you've been offering have the same name as this community? Why, yes. Yes, it did. That course was the first step in creating this full community, and I did use the name originally for just the course, which in hindsight was a little bit confusing. My apologies to the world, but that is the course, and this whole thing here, the whole big shebang, that is the collective. Number two, okay, so how much does all this cost? Honestly, not nearly enough, but I firmly believe that finances should never become a barrier to education and to community. Here at the start, full writer membership is $15 a month or $10 a month if you use the annual plan. So, you know, about the same price as one decent meal per month. The Collaborator memberships are even less at $5 a month or $50 for the entire year. So, you know, like one fancy Starbucks drink per month. And if you find that these costs are still a barrier, come have a chat with me and we'll figure out what we can do to make sure that you have access until the finances are there. I just simply do not believe in keeping gates, especially financial gates. And so I won't. Now, of course, all of this is still in its toddler phase, but I have full confidence as we grow together as a community in partnership with other organizations with similar goals, we will be able to build and create the home that musical theater writers deserve, desire, and need. If you're curious to hear more about what happens in that course I was talking about, which comes with a Writing Collective membership, then you can check out this video next. Otherwise, thank you all for being here with me today, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers!